Welcome to K-Drama School. I'm your host Grace Jung and class is now in session. At the moment, the reason why the background is different is because I am not feeling well and I'm super tired and I don't want to get up off my couch. So here I am. Excuse me. I'm going to be covering a show called The Sound of Your Heart today. This is technically not a drama. This is actually a comedy. It is more of a sitcom. It's very much a sitcom. It's a sitcom, but without the laugh track. And it's based on a webtoon. A webtoon written and created and illustrated by the artist Cho Seok. It's immensely popular. It's a huge hit. And it's available on Netflix if you live in North America. And I highly recommend it. I quite like this sitcom. I love it a lot because it's very silly. And Lee Kwang-soo, the protagonist, he plays Cho Seok. He is such a great actor. I'm sure you've seen Lee Kwang-soo in other dramas. Like he was definitely in that show It's Okay, That's Love. He's got a major role in that. He's in, I don't know, like what else is he in? Well, I mean, he's mostly known for being on that show, Running Man. Running Man is this immensely popular reality variety show with some gamification, and it's extremely popular in Asia, like in China for sure. I know definitely in like Vietnam and the Philippines, but it is like a crazy popular show. And it's popular mainly because people love Lee Kwang-soo. I think in China he gets like the most endorsement money or something. But Lee Kwang-soo is a classically trained actor, I believe. I think he started out as a model, but I'm pretty sure he is trained in acting, and he's quite well trained in drama. He's a really great drama performer, but people keep plugging him into comedies because he's also a terrific comedic actor, you know? In fact, on Running Man, Yoo Jae-seok makes fun of Lee Kwang-soo a lot and says like, so you're a comedian, right? You're a comedian. He's like, no, I'm an actor. I'm an actor. He's like, no, you're a comedian. But Lee Kwang-soo is very versatile, and I think that's what I love about him. I also love how fucking tall he is. He's like a crazy tall guy. You also have Kim Dae-myung playing Cho Jun, so Cho Seok's older brother. And Kim Dae-myung is also a terrific actor. He's in numerous dramas. You've definitely seen him in Miseng, right? And he is definitely in Hospital Playlist. I quite like his versatility and range as well. And then you have Jung So-min, who plays Ebong. And Jung So-min, I remember seeing her years ago in this really bizarre Korean drama called Playful Kiss. It was on MBC, and it's technically a show that was initially a Japanese manga, and then they turned it into a TV series, and then they made it into a Korean TV series. So it went through several transformations, but it is such a weird show. Playful Kiss is a really weird show. Came out in 2010. So if you want to see Jung So-min performing in a K-drama, like a teen K-drama, it's more like a teen coming of age kind of show. But yeah, she's good in that. It's a weird show. I loved the mom character, Kim Mi-kyung. So Kim Mi-kyung, you've seen her in like fucking every single TV show ever. Like she was in Secret Garden. She was in Master Son. She was in The Heirs. She was in It's Okay, That's Love. It's same thing with Lee Kwang-soo. She's in Hi Bye Mama. Yeah, Hi Bye Mama. She's in that. Have you guys seen that? I should cover Hi Bye Mama. I haven't talked about Hi Bye Mama yet, right? She's in It's Okay to Not Be Okay. She's in a lot of Korean TV dramas. Like, I mean, she is like a TV drama queen. So Kim Mi-kyung is in this, and she is flexing her comedic muscles, and I thought she was absolutely terrific. I loved how many cameos there are on this show. In The Sound of Your Heart, you have like a bunch of comedians making cameo appearances. Like you have Bang Na-rae, who shows up. Bang Na-rae also has a Netflix comedy special. It's not good, but she's in it. Oh my gosh, you have the singer Lena Park in that. Lena Park was big in the 90s, but Lena Park is a Korean American, and she went to Korea and became a huge singer. She's a terrific singer. I mean, the pipe's on her. And so Lena Park makes an appearance, like a cameo appearance as herself on this. Yep, Shin Dong-yeop, Chun Hyun-moo, Kim Tae-won. You have so many cameo appearances. Kim Suk appears on this show as well. I love Kim Suk. So I loved how many female comedians there were that make cameo appearances on this show. But in any case, if you just want like a lighthearted, feel-good, weird, like zany, kind of tacky, campy sitcom, this is for you. And I think my favorite part, I mean, this is actually more telling of like the kind of humor I'm into. Like, you know, even though I'm very dry when I'm on stage and I'm like talking about all kinds of weird intellectual shit, I also talk about like disgusting things, you know, like I have like poop jokes and stuff. And there's this like epic poop joke scene on this show. I don't want to give away details, but I just remember like dying laughing. It was so gross, but I could not stop laughing. I was like in tears. So in any case, if you're into like just cheap humor stuff, but you know, like there's some like family warmth in there as well, some family comedy, family hijinks stuff. If you're into that, this is a show for you. I just wanted to cover something lighthearted rather than heavy. So today I talked to LA-based comedian and screenwriter Wendy Wilkins. Well, she was a writer's assistant for a major sitcom that you all recognize called Malcolm in the Middle. And Malcolm in the Middle is perhaps one of my most favorite sitcoms of all time. It's like Malcolm in the Middle, The Bernie Mac Show, Friends. I mean, I would say like those are like my top 3 favorite sitcoms of all time. But yeah, Wendy is a comedy buddy of mine. I see her at Mike's. In fact, I'm recording this on Sunday night. Wendy and I co-hosted the Hollywood Improv Labworks Mike, and that's why I'm so tired right now. But in any case, there was a lot of fun. I really respect Wendy because she is always professional and she's nice to everybody. And, you know, she just knows how to be a good friend. And she has this sort of New York loyalty that I'm really down with. I also learned from how generous Wendy is with people. That's something I'm always trying to work on because I feel like that's just an area I could work on some more. But I learned from Wendy a great deal. So I'm very happy to talk to her. Let's talk to Wendy Wilkins.
Do you have a dog with you right now?
I am. I'm dog sitting. I'm so sorry. She just was chill until I started talking, and now she wants me to throw her ball. It's Caitlin and Max from Can't Even, and they're in there she is right there. Say hi, Pepper. I know you love dogs, so I was like, well, this will be a treat. Say hi, Pepper.
Oh, I know Pepper. I've met Pepper before. Yeah. There's another dog, isn't there?
Yes, you know Pepper and Grace. Yeah. So
cute.
Yeah, this is a lot. I have a tiny apartment, so like to have her, she's a big German Shepherd, and to have her,
she's huge.
But she slept with me the whole night. Just didn't move. Was good. Just laid right next to me. I haven't snuggled with a dog in forever, so it was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
nice.
sweet.
Nice.
I love dogs. Oh my gosh. You know, like I might just live my whole life that way, like never getting a dog of my own and just fucking living that parasocial dog love life. Like,
oh my God, your Instagram stories with all the reposts of dogs from TikTok is everything I live for. Like, it's always like one or to this first or second spot, and I'm always like, click as soon as I see it. I'm like, what is going on? And then your paintings.
Yeah,
I have no idea about those cards. I have no idea what you're talking about those cards, but. Like, I still like looking at them and the shapes. It's so much fun. Yeah. It's so cool. I'm like,
I know, it is a lot of fun.
Fucking on point, man.
Yeah, it is on point shit, man. Like, I am having a lot of fun these days. It's such a sweet ass life. Just God damn it. Like being unemployed fucking rocks. I love it. I'm like made for it. Hi, Pepper. It's so awesome. Like, so as I told you, I know you're familiar with the book. I'm doing that Artist's Way book.
Oh yeah,
the workbook.
How's that going?
It's going good, and I like, some of the challenges that she has us, face. And do you remember in chapter like 1 when she talks about crazy makers, quote unquote crazy makers? So like people who, how do I say, they like don't respect your boundaries. They call you up with an emergency all the time. Like they're your friend, but there's always some kind of havoc that is wreaking in their lives, and they ask you to come in and help them like all the time. Like you know those kinds of people. So it was like talking about crazy makers. You know what I'm talking about?
When I read that book, I was actually living with a crazy maker. So here I am in my living room reading this and looking up to the person I'm living with, who is the crazy maker, who's my ex college roommate, and then she moved out to LA, and then that was a whole crazy situation where we end up being roommates. But then I was just like, oh fuck, oh fuck, and then when she finally did something. She finally did something that I was like, I could point at and go, that crossed the line and you need to move out. It was like the perfect, and it didn't happen too long after I read that book. So it did give me a lot of perspective, and like something I probably didn't know about. Like, I'm just like, from upstate New York. We don't talk about that shit, I'm like from a country girl who is a city girl at heart, and then as soon as I came to LA, like and still today, everything is eye opening. I learn so much every day about the world and people, and I never assume I know everything, because the moment I do that, somebody takes advantage of me in a way that I didn't see coming, and I'm like, oh, all right, all right, I don't know everything, and I'm going to keep my ears and eyes open, and that's not to say I distrust people in general. I don't. I'm the opposite.
You're very open.
You trust
actually,
people too quickly. He goes, and then they take advantage of you. Because I had like 3 or 4 friends during our marriage that happened to, and I was really bummed out. Female friends. I was really bummed out how they showed their true self after a little bit. And he's like, you just have to get better at doing that. And I think I do. It still happens, but I think I do, and I'm not so devastated, because I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen. And this, I think, for everybody happens. It's just like finding somebody to marry or fall in love with. It takes a lot of different people before you find somebody who you click with. It's the same with friendships.
That's true.
And relationships, business relationships, or comedy relationships. So I love when all of a sudden a little bit of, that Artist Way. Yeah. So what happened with you? Did you like reassess a few people after you read that about the crazies?
Well, the interesting thing is that, like, because I'm not like, I don't have any demands right now, like I live my life like an artist anyway. So like morning pages is like, they call it morning pages, but I call it just journaling, and I've been journaling like very consistently every morning for years. So it's not like, not just mornings. I would sometimes journal again in the afternoon and again at night. Like I journal often. But so like I've been doing that. Like I meditate regularly, I do my own tarot card reading or oracle card reading regularly. I paint, like, I'm already living this chill artist life. And like, I'll go away for like by myself just to take trips and stuff, or sometimes to actually go to comedy. So it's like, I just do these things regularly anyhow. And the toxic people thing, that I saw more like retrospectively, like, oh, there are these crazy makers in my past that I have just naturally and organically distanced myself from, like 3 or 4 of them that I just kind of pulled away from, because there was always perpetual, like unmanageable drama and it's like every time I meet them, it's like intense drama. And I was like, oh yeah, I just don't have these people in my life anymore. I'm so lucky. But then recently, like a couple days ago, I was talking to a friend. I still consider him a friend. But it's like anytime I talk to him, literally any single time I talk to him and I ask him something very like minor, like, oh, how was that deadline that like you were able to meet that deadline? That's great. So how was that? It's like all this drama, like intense. And it's like, oh, you know, when he does that, it eliminates any possibility for me to have a conversation about him where it's like balanced, where I could talk about my stuff and I could listen to his stuff, and it could be like this mutually beneficial, healthy kind of talk. And it just becomes about his shit and me trying to like help him out of it, you know? And but the problem is like he just doesn't have a sure, how do I say? He doesn't know where he stands on the matter. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't know like how he feels about anything in the situation. So it just becomes chaotic confusion when I listen to him. And everybody is to blame. Everybody is wrong. He's the victim in all of it. But it's like he lacks agency completely when I'm talking to him. Like he's very all over the place, very unstable. And there's no centeredness, no groundedness. And I noticed that this is how it is like almost every single time I talk to him about anything. And so what does that say? Oh, I thought I had left the crazy makers behind, but here turns out I have one in my life still.
You probably have a few, but they haven't reared their ugly head lately, you know. For me, when one of those shows their true face, I tend to go, oh, I think this is somebody who, growing up, especially the on the fence thing, they weren't allowed to make decisions. Their parents always made decisions for them. So when they became an adult, they didn't, and they had to make decisions. They didn't know because they were worried about making the wrong decision. And when you have somebody in your life, a friend or an acquaintance or wherever, who you are being a friend to, and they take such offense, you're like, oh, okay, you're somebody who does not know how to have an even relationship. You never were taught that if you talk to somebody, they ask you a question, you ask them back. That happens quite frequently with men. I don't know why we've grown this whole kind of part of society where it's only men only talk about themselves. It's changing, but like it's still bullshit. It's like I have very little patience for somebody when I go, hey, how you doing? And they go on and they don't shut up. And you're like, oh, so you don't give a shit. You don't give a shit. I don't want anything to do with that. Yeah. And then there's been these people who you start a conversation with them, and these are, I think, also part of the crazies. And you go, and they go, why would you say that? Why would you ask me that? And it's constantly putting everything onto you, even though you're being genuine, going, hey, how you doing? How do you feel about that? And they were like, well, why would you ask me that? And they're constantly accusatory. And you're like, I don't know what happened in your life. But please leave me out of it. And the best is when I'll talk to somebody later on and go,
combo? Yeah.
And I'll go, God, I just can't have it's a weird conversation with them. They're like, me too. And I'm like, okay, it's not me.
Conversation.
You know? I'm like, so glad it's not me when somebody confirms it. And those kind of people, it's like you've learned, you know, as you get older, you go, okay. And then you walk the fuck away because there's no way it's ever going to change because of who they are. Yeah. There's a one female comic who I'm not really friends with, but I see her and I say hello. And as soon as I say hello, she goes into a diatribe of all the shit that's happening in her life. I'm like, all I asked was, hi,
how are you doing?
And then the flood fucking gates open. And I'm like, okay, you need a boyfriend or something because I can't be your emotional stable. It does not work. I'm just a stranger at the comedy scene with you. And so I'm glad you talked it through, but then it makes you not want to.
It took a toll. It took a huge toll. I wrote a joke. Like, I don't know, maybe I could workshop this joke with you. See what you think. It's like when people do that, right? It's like the only thing. It's like I feel so cornered. I'm like, how do I? Okay, I'll write a joke. It's like when people are like, oh, you know what? When I talk about these problems, I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm asking you to just listen. And it's like, when the problems are that severe, it's like a person coming to your face with a big open gash in their face,
Right.
and they're bleeding, and they're like, I don't want you to treat this wound. I just want you to look at it. Just look at me bleed, man. And it's like, you're bleeding on my shoes. You're bleeding on my shoes. You don't want me to put a towel in your open, gaping wound? Ew, I don't want to see that shit, right? Like, that's what that's like to me. That's what it feels like to me.
It's exactly what it is. It is. You're like, okay, then you can go see somebody else about your wound, okay?
Yeah.
Because go see a professional.
Yeah, go to the hospital.
I can't help. I can't help you, you know? So
go
see a shrink. Go,
oh my gosh.
Go get a therapist.
Yeah.
Fucking, I'm tired. Yeah. I'm tired, like... Here's the thing. When I was married, I was grateful. Like, my ex-husband was not like one of those basket cates. I didn't have to be as emotional.
Yeah.
Like, we were there for each other, but I did.
Yeah.
He wasn't emotionally, you know, he figured things out and that stuff. But I definitely have other boyfriends who like are guys I'm hanging out with who are just want me there to like be their mommy and take care of them, and I'm like, just go fucking see a therapist. Are you fucking kidding me? I can't help you with whatever you got going on. It's not my job at all as a woman. It's your job as a person who's got issues to go fucking take care of that. Because guess what? When I lost my shit, I went and saw a therapist and I took care of it and got through it. So man the fuck up and go see a therapist and deal with that, because I can't help you. And I don't want to help you. I got too much on my fucking plate. Yeah. Than being your emotional you know, boomerang here.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what that is. Like, and also, I feel like those people maybe lack tools of self-care, you know, like, and I understand what that can be like, you know, I understand that feeling of helplessness. And so you like take it to other people. Like, I understand that. And it's like, no, those are tools you can acquire, you know, like it's as simple as journaling and meditating.
Yes. And you learn through experience. And it's the people that don't learn from their mistakes that continuously end up keep repeating the same patterns. And so for me, I didn't know shit when I first moved to LA. Yeah. But I've learned how to become a better person and how to, and I'm not 100%. I go up and down. But when I do, when I do something dumb, I learn from it and I move on. And that's what we're supposed to do as humans. But too many people, and this is what I say, too many people are comfortable in their dysfunction. And some people go to therapy to get better, and some people go to therapy just to have somebody to tell their shit to. They don't want to change. They just want it continuous. And I've had a friend who had many issues, one with her sister, and I was like, you can make this better if you just stop accepting the behavior from other people. And she's like, yes, but she would never change it. And so it was the same complaint for 5 years. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. I really can't do it anymore. If you don't want to make that change and call her on her bullshit, what she's doing. Yeah. I can't listen to it anymore, you know?
Right? It's hard.
Yeah.
No, there are definitely people I stopped speaking to because of that very same reason. But let me ask you this. Like, when you're kind of going through a change, right? Like, I'm sure you've gone through like several changes in your life, but like something in you shifts. Your outlook is no longer the same as yesterday or a moment ago. What are the things that you notice first, like in your immediate proximity, whether it be your notebook, your clothes, the food you keep buying, I don't know, like your routine, your habit, like what's the first thing that ends up changing that you notice when you go through those shifts?
Literally, it's a weight on my body, like an emotional weight on my body.
A feeling.
It's a feeling. It like, and it's like, there's a long process of me being in a bad spot. And then as soon as it's like a release, and it's either my mind or my body or something, there's a release, and I feel different, like physically. Now, I've throughout this stuff, I keep up my routines, which is I'm a big hiker, and I do a lot of organizing, which is something that gets my brain in a way. And then, so I do that stuff. It's just when I'm doing that stuff, when I'm in the state before I change, it's a struggle. But as soon as I have that change, it's like a joy. And so I do go through a period where everything gets cleaned. That is for sure. I get everything in order. And I put down goals. Like when I had the last big transition was from 2 broken hearts to going back to comedy and restarting at 50. Yeah. And I made I told myself, because I'd had a lot of expectations for myself that didn't get fulfilled. And so when it came down and I went down to 0, it was the realization that those things didn't happen. And it was me feeling like 100% failure kind of thing. So when I was able to get out of it, it took 2 years, but when I was able to get out of it, I was like, you're not a failure. Yeah. And it's like wiping that away. And so I was then, I give myself, whenever I go through this transition, I give myself very short goals that are very attainable. And then that allows me to go to the next step. But I don't put too much pressure on myself. I just say, hey, you're a new person now, and you need to do this. So when I came back to comedy, I was like, okay, I'm going to go 1 month ahead. I'm not going to think about the future. Like I had thought about 20 years and all that other stuff, and it never materialized. So I go, give myself a month. This is what I want to do in a month. I'm going to hit a bunch of open mics. Here I am, an old lady coming back to the open mic scene. Going to hit it to start over. And then once I hit that month, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to give myself the next 3 months. And I just kept doing it, much like, the AA, one day at a time kind of thing. But I just kept doing that in stages. And that helped me build myself back up to what I need to be. So it's funny how I do about the same things no matter what state I'm in. It's just me enjoying those things because I love those things. It's just when I'm in a miserable state, they're really hard to get through. And I walk differently. And I talk to people differently. And I'm always kind of a cheery person, except if you've pissed me off, then but like there's something about when I go out into the world with strangers that when I've gone through this transition, I'm just like, it's just this state I have. And it's amazing. And I'm grateful that I didn't ever get like the depression, those kind of things, which is very a lot of artists get, and they're just born that way. That's part of what makes them an artist. But I am super hard on myself, so it's giving myself permission not to be so hard on myself, and that doing comedy and writing and living in a city, they're all successes, whether I make any money or become famous. Those are all successes. Right. I'm doing exactly what I want. Exactly. Which is nothing anybody else in my family ever got to do. So I'm already a success. Exactly. So you wipe that pressure off and you keep going and you keep going. Even if I die, nothing ever ever gets produced. Or I make any money. Yeah. By the way, I've already made more money than I ever have in my life on comedy this year. And it's maybe $10, $20 here and there. It still doesn't matter. I made money. It's like that's huge. The best thing. And I've made amazing friends. That's another thing, is like I allow myself to like be open to different people and talking to different people. And that's comedy is great that way because you meet so many different kinds of people. And I love that.
Yes.
I go back to upstate New York and it's so white.
Yeah.
Like I went to go see a movie theater and it was nothing but white couples. And I go, I'm going to go. Like I literally bailed on the movie because I'm like, this seems so weird. I can't deal with this. And I come and it's so multicultural and it's just filled with, I love listening to other people's languages when we're out in a store and stuff like that. Like I love that. I love just like running into, when you go to markets or different things and seeing all like learning stuff and learning so much like from you about Korean culture and like having that that food connection that you were telling me about when somebody passes. That you celebrate with food.
The ritual, the chesa.
And like I was like, oh, I love all that stuff. And by the way, if I was in upstate New York, I would never have learned any of that stuff. And I would not be the person I always wanted to be. And that was to be out in the world and be a part of the world, the whole world, not just America, not just a tiny little part of America, but the whole world. Because we're all humans. We're all humans.
We are.
One of us is human.
That's the thing I really like admire about you is that you are like really open to a diversity of people. And I don't mean diversity as in like, like race, creed, and, sexuality. Like that's a given. I mean more like personalities, because that for me is hard. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how I am. I'm very no nonsense and I'm like, but that's not because I'm a bitch. It's because I'm very sensitive, and like
you're protecting
I absorb
yourself.
People's energies.
Right.
Yeah, I absorb people's energies so fast that it's like too much. And like if I'm in the face of somebody, I feel like there's something off that doesn't vibe with me, I shut down. And like I wish I had the wherewithal to just be like able to maintain some small talk and be like okay, but I'm not. I can't. Like a lot of the times, right? If I get to a venue early, I'll sit in my car or I'll like be far away from the venue for a while until I absolutely have to be there. Because I just can't, with too many people. And it's like,
but
people.
What I appreciate about you is that you know that about yourself. But I love that you know that about yourself, and you give yourself those permissions to be what you need to be in different environments. And that's to me, I'm like, right. That's a strength. That's not a weakness. That's not like someone being a bitch. That's someone going, I know who I am and this is how I'm going to play it. Like when we were at the UBG the other night and the dudes kept, coming up and saying hi. And I was like, hi, and you're like, hi. Yeah. You're just like, leave me that alone. I love it. I love it. Like, it's just like, I just say hi and move on.
I felt bad that day. Yeah. You're like, no, there was like that weirdo guy. He was like, are you my neighbor? Are you my neighbor? And I was just watching the TV and you were like, I don't think she is. Like, and I was like, I feel bad that Wendy has to buffer for me, but thank God for Wendy,
But that's what I'm there for. Oh my God. In college. In college, I didn't drink much. I don't drink much. So I would drink like once a semester, but throughout the whole semester, and I had the car. So I would drive everybody. It was cold in upstate. So I would drive everybody to the bar, which wasn't that far. And then and then I would be the bodyguard, like literally towards the end of the night when all the guys would get manhanny and stuff like that. I would get in between a dude and my friend, and dudes don't know what to do when there's a woman in front of them going, back the fuck up. Like they really don't. And so like, it was great, so like I just sort of like, I do listen. That I'm good that way, even though I have hearing issues. So when I'm in a big crowd, it's more visual. So I keep my eyes keen on everything, especially my friends, even people that weren't my friends. And I get in there and I'm like, no, you're not going to fucking do this. Get the fuck away, But that's just who I am. Like, I just sort of like to always pay attention to that shit. I also had a brother who tortured me growing up, so like part of it is like he would hid behind a corner and scare me and stuff, so I was kind of always on alert. I learned that to always be on a fucking alert, in case some shit would come out and give me a Charlie horse, so
but like, you're the older sister. Like, didn't you torture him back ever, or were you just so pure-hearted and sweet that you just like didn't have it in you to be that like brutal?
So even though he's younger, he's only a year and a half younger. And then by the time he was 12, he was starting to grow, and he became 6'6", and he got big. He was 5 when our parents got divorced, and he took it way harder. Like he just didn't know why his daddy wasn't there anymore and stuff. And then I don't think my parents managed his emotional health all that well, and so he was always extra sensitive, anyways, when he was growing up and stuff. So he just he is not a person who was born equipped to like adjust to situations. I was the opposite. I was independent, and I was like, okay, I'll take care of this. And so by the time he got older, he needed way more attention than anybody else. And so he couldn't get it. And the only other person, because my dad was working or whatever, and then when he came home, it was a lot about him and my stepmom. So so the only other person was me. And so like he would aggressively do stuff like wrestle or punch me or give me Charlie horses and stuff to get attention from me. I just wanted to be left alone because I was in my world. I was thinking, I was writing stories at 10. I was like, I just wanted to be making recordings on my tape recorder, going around doing like interviewing the horse, in a tree, like whatever I was doing. And I just wanted to be left alone. Trying to, and he would make fun of it. And I was like, I don't need you around. I don't want you to do that. But for him to feel validated, he needed to constantly have me part of his world. And so I never talk about my brother. So Anyway, so by the time we got older.
We don't have to go too deep into it. But
no, it's okay. By the time we got older, everybody's like, oh, when you get older, you'll be best friends. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't like him as a person. And nobody believed me. And then I would constantly see how my parents were not doing parenting well with him because I knew him the best. And I said, you can't do that. And they're like, well, you're a kid. You don't know. I go, no, I know him the best. You can't do what you're doing because it's not going to work. So when he became
you spend the most time with him.
Yes. And when he became an adult, it just became unbearable. And he's not a good person because I think he wants to be, but he has no idea how to be. And and because of that, I had to cut him off when I was 29, right after my mom died, emotionally, because I'm like, I cannot take what you were talking about. I cannot take your shit on me. It's not my fault. It's your fault. You need to take ownership of it. And he has never been able to do that. I don't I know my parents raised me one way, but they did raise him a different way. And because of that, it was a detriment to who he became as a person. So for me, it's like, despite him, I don't want to be him because people be like, your brothers were Brian. And I was just like, so I think that's why I've become a little bit more on the other side, the like, hi, and trusting, because I don't want people to think I'm like my brother who's a dick, But I've learned to be nice and not so trusting, and learn to be like, okay, all right, learn the signals a little bit better. It's but it's a learning game always. I don't know if I answered your question. I'm so sorry.
No, you did. Like, no, it makes sense. Like, I think, you know what, like, in terms of your adjustment, you just figured out, like, in order to deal with anything that is difficult, I just gotta make something. Like, you put your focus on creating something. That's usually the natural inclination of any artist, right? Like, when I was working that full-time job in New York, I hated it so much. And I was also like producing a documentary, and I was like having a lot of issues with the co-producer and the director, and I was like miserable. And whenever I felt the most helpless and miserable, I would always paint. That was always the last and final resort, So I think just, that's the healthiest way to be, and that's a tool that you had, like a coping tool, right? And artists need to be able to do that. They have to do that. In fact, it's not just artists, like anybody should be able to do that. Like, they should just know, like, when I feel like hell inside, I have to go and, like, I don't know, go play tennis, or go play racquetball, or go bowling, or go for a drive, or do something. Like, to know what it is that I have to do in order to not wreak havoc in my own life and around in the lives of people around me, to know what to do. I think
Right.
that is a tool. It's an asset to know that, right? And perhaps,
Right.
sadly, you know, your younger brother wasn't able to attain that, right?
Right. Yeah.
And also, like,
absolutely.
you know, younger siblings tend to be babied a lot, and so like they don't even get the chance to figure out how to do that on their own.
Especially male
yeah.
younger siblings. Yeah.
They get really fucking doted on. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And
they
it's
do.
and you know, it's so funny because Jada Pinkett Smith does that red round table, red talk table talk thing. And her daughter Willow was on, and I think her daughter's name Willow, right? She was on, and she goes, "You treated me differently than my brother. You were like, get your fucking ass out of bed," and then you would go see Jada and go, "Okay, coming out of bed." And she admitted that she had treated her son differently than her daughter.
Yeah.
And I for sure 100% know that happens.
Yeah.
I also know about myself, and this is a deep wound, is that when I feel like somebody has not been careful, especially a friend has not been careful with, or maybe just didn't know they did something, but when I get hurt as an adult, I retreat. And that is, and I will emotionally retreat to protect myself. And I don't do it for long, but when it's an initial or a surprise, I get real quiet and I keep myself away from the situation because I don't know how to process those feelings of being betrayed, you know, or somebody intentionally hurting me, whether they meant to or not. It happened. So like, I will go away because I also don't want to put all my shit on them. I don't want to put your friend wanted to put your shit on them.
Right.
I don't want to put my shit on them. I want to process it and go away. And how I do that is I disappear a little bit because I know that it's my shit that I need to work through and go through it. But people tend to get very upset when they're like, "Why'd you go away? Why'd you just?" I'm like, because I'm protecting you from me. And I know that about me. So I want to process it and then I'll come out the other end and then we'll talk about it. But like, that's something from childhood because I didn't think I could ever we would talk about our feelings and then it just, nothing would ever fix. So then we learned not to talk about our feelings when we're asked, because it didn't matter. The shit didn't happen. Like, especially with my dad and stepmom, like we have a family meeting and let's talk about what's wrong and fix it. But it was never fixing it to compromise with the kids, you know, it was always
worse.
fix it to the way they wanted it.
I think there's a difference between listening to a friend who is like coming to you and asking like, "Hey, like, you know, something's going on, like, can I bend your ear?" I feel like that should be said. I feel like that is respecting somebody. Because, like you say, like, you know, we don't want to burden people, but we are people and we have to connect.
Right.
And when somebody gives me that, it's like, oh, like, is it okay if I, like, talk to you about something? I'm always ready to listen. Because now it's like, okay, like, this is listen mode.
They're being polite and asking, "Hey, do you have time for this?" Because obviously there's going to be an emotional thing. Or do you have an emotional space for me to deal with this? It may be a small thing, it may be a little bit bigger thing. But the fact that they are aware enough to go, "Hey, can I ask you if this is okay if I talk to you about this?"
Exactly.
Yeah. Half of it. So then you're like, yes. And then sometimes people don't. They don't have time, but they'll circle back because they know. I don't reach out too much, but the people I do reach out to, I know that I can. And I also know that if they're too busy, they will circle back, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay that they need they
exactly.
may not
you have
have the
trust.
space right then. Yes, the trust there. And I will say, as women, we have been born and bred not to believe we have a choice. And so the earlier we learn as females in our society that we all have choices and that we don't have to like or be a part of something that we don't want to do. Like, I'm all for if something's happening and they're like, "I don't think I had a choice," like being kidnapped or all that other stuff. It's all horrible, but don't just go and go along with it. You know, like don't just, I'm like, I worked on a show, a military show, and with an FBI consultant, and he's like, "You have a gun pointed at you, you fucking run, because guess what? 95% of the time, they're going to miss you. He goes, I taught everyone, he had 10 kids. He goes, I taught every one of my kids, you run towards the gun and you fucking do what you can to fight. You do not run away. You run towards the gun. Because 95% of the time they're not going to get you, and they're too scared. They're like, it's just a scare tactic. They have no intention of shooting. They're just using so it was like, hopefully I'll never be in that situation, but I'm like, that's going to kick in for me, is that, you know, and that sort of has kicked in for me for other things. You know, I told you know about a guy sexually assaulted me coming out of a bar. He palmed my boob and I beat the shit out of him. So that is my response to that shit. Partially because of my brother. Right. Growing up with a guy who beat me up every day. But other partially it's just like, no, you don't get agency over my body because of your fucking bullshit, you know? So women have choices. So make the choice, you know? And like whether those people on the train videoed and watched that woman get raped, they all had a choice to stop it. God. And they didn't do it.
That was horrendous.
I was on a Chicago train when I was working in Chicago. It was horrible. Yeah. I was witnessing an autistic guy started to be sexually assaulted by a homeless woman. And the train was packed. And I got up and I go, don't touch him. Oh, sorry, I'm screaming. Don't touch him. Yeah. Yeah. And she looked at me and everybody looked at me. I go, you get up and you sit on my seat. And then I told her to move over and I sat next to her. I go, you do not have permission to touch him anyway. Like, and she was over the clothes, but he was clearly autistic, just come from work. He didn't know what to do. He's frozen. And they are like, the stats on them being sexually assaulted is remarkable, autistic people, because they don't know how to say no. Right. So, you know, they really don't process what's going on in them. So, but the whole train was packed. And then I told we were in the first car, I told the train conductor, I go, she just sexually assaulted that man. Get her off the train. And he got her off. Right. And then I was like, could you please make sure this kid gets off when he needs to get off and nobody else bothers him. But I was on a packed fucking train and not one fucking person said anything besides myself. I was just
That's very common in urban, that's very, very common in urban societies though. Like there were so many times when I was getting assaulted in New York and nobody did anything until I had to, like, it happened to me at Starbucks once. It was awful. And it happens all the time. And I think what it is like in these urban environments, because so much crazy shit happens all the time, people are kind of numbed out to crazy things happening. And they're also, how do I say, they also are like trained to ignore it. They put up blinders and it's like crazy shit is happening and I just got to ignore it and pretend like it's not happening. And I think a combination of those factors and them also not taking, you know, perhaps that women's cries seriously, I think all of that is what led to this horrific event. And like, it's usually men who ignore that shit the most. It's fucking weird, but like men will really ignore that stuff the most. Like women will be more inclined to step up, but men have to be instructed to step in. That's the other fucked up thing. Yeah.
I was just at work.
They have to be told.
Yeah. At work, I'm a COVID person. Part of my job is to remind people to wear their masks. Right. First day of production, I had 3 guys not wearing their masks. I asked them, the guy who you could tell was probably anti-vaxxer, even though I was vax, he have to be vaxxed to work on shows. Yeah. Anti-vaxxer, you know, fucking QAnon, all that other stuff, goes on from 0 to 100 and starts yelling at me. I'm outside the CDC. It doesn't matter what the CDC says or it's what our show says, and we go above and beyond the CDC. Anyways, here I am trying my best to go. I am a COVID person. I'm telling you, we have to on this show. That is part of our work agreement. And then at one point he charges. Now this goes on for 5 minutes. There's 10 other people around me, mostly all men. He charges at me, going, "Get away, get out of here." I go, "I'm not going to go away. This is my job, you know." And so finally somebody came over and corralled him. But I was like, I went straight to my boss and went straight to the UPM. He's still working because they're all pussies. Yeah, he's still working on the job, and then he's not only verbally assaulted another one of our team members, also female, another male, and then my boss. So like, we don't have firing power because he would have been gone already. But that's the thing. Yeah,
Right.
they stand around and they're like, I'm not going to get involved. I'm like, because they're so worried about their fucking egos. So worried that somebody's going to call them out and they're going to boo. It's like big fucking babies. I hate cowards. I fucking hate cowards. I hate cowards.
I think, you know, your job is especially hard because it is that it's like the COVID people. Like you guys are like protocol and policy enforcers, and that puts you in a position where you have to tell people to do something that they probably don't want to do, but it's like necessary, right? You guys are rule enforcers, so you're like more vulnerable to that kind of reaction anyway. But on top of that, everybody in Hollywood has this mentality, like it's a small industry, and I don't want to ruin my reputation by calling somebody out.
Right.
And it's like, but what if you're in a place of danger or suffering or victim? It's like, it's okay. Like, I don't matter. My career matters. I think that mentality also is what makes this place so fucking toxic sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
Years ago, I had a boss. I had a boss remark that if you don't make it as a staff writer on a TV show by the time you're 32 or 33, you're never going to make it. And it made it in a room full of us people all trying to be writers. And I had just had my 40th birthday, and everybody got quiet. He thought he was being funny, and everybody got quiet. And then he later had to go talk to a couple of the other writers going, why did it get weird in there? And they're like, because Wendy's trying to be a writer and she just turned 40.
Right.
So then he came to me trying to make nice, and the whole time going, but what's your plan B? What's your plan B?
Oh, Jesus.
Like insinuating that
so
I would never
rude.
make it. Yeah. And here I am, a person, everybody's like, and like all these people are like, you got to tell the producers. I'm like, or you got to take it, because it's actually an ageist thing, and you can't discriminate based on somebody's age. And I go, I do that in Hollywood. I never get hired as a writer ever. And I may never, but I certainly won't get hired as a writer. They all told the bosses, and I had discussions with a couple of exec producers, but they were like, please don't give up, keep going. And honestly, this day and age, anybody can make it at any time. But his mentality, his white male mentality was that, you're not going to make it if you don't make it by the time you're 32 in this business as a writer. Yeah, it's just somebody who's small and insecure trying to have power.
Yeah.
People, that's all it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's their insecurity, I feel like, people who talk that way. And I don't even want to like begin to try and understand people like that, because like, what's the point? You know, it's like they're just speaking out of their own fears and their own, you know, like you say, their own insecurities. It's like, it's not necessary. But I also like what you say just now, like at this day and age, anybody can make it any time. But that's the truth. And at any point in time, it's like anybody can do whatever the fuck they want at any point in their lives. And whatever, like, outside opinions about whether somebody has quote unquote made it, you know, I feel like those kinds of definitions are also very varied. That definition of what a success is and what making is needs to be diversified more, and it needs to be personalized. Like, what is your definition of success? What is your definition of making it? What is your definition of happiness? What is your definition of love? What is your definition of forgiveness? These kinds of things, don't go and turn to Merriam-Webster. Turn to yourself and write that shit down and try to live according to. Because people get so caught. This is like the thing I hate about the conversation I was having with that other person the other day, where it was so difficult because he doesn't have a core sense of self. And because of that lack, it was like just insane. Like talking was chaos. I just couldn't talk. I couldn't understand what the fuck was going on. And it's like, you have to know who you are, what you're about, what you want to do. I feel like that's a very simple thing, those three things, but it's hard to get there. It takes a lot of work. But it's important for one to do that work, because that's how you be responsible in the world, right?
Right. I got here
that man
at 50.
saying that shit to you.
Yeah.
Right.
I got here
that
at
man
50,
saying that shit to you, he didn't know.
No, he didn't know. Go
ahead.
Yeah, I just said it took me 50 years to get to a place where I know who I am. I love myself. I am the person I always wanted to be. I am a success regardless of money and fame. I am doing exactly what I want. And I've never loved myself more than I do right now. And that means, that doesn't mean that I have somebody else in my life loving me. It absolutely is the opposite. I love me 100%. And I don't need another person to validate me with it. And right now I don't have room in my life for somebody else other than at short stints for a half hour or an hour at a time, you know, here and there. You know, that is it. That's all I have time for. And that is fine. And actually that actually lifts me up. Like I have this whole Chris D'Elia bit that I bang on his first fake apology video. And part of it though, he starts blaming casual sex. And I go, don't fucking blame casual sex because you're an addict. You know why? Casual sex is actually pretty fucking awesome. It is. It is. It's like, it has made me exactly who I am today. And it uplifts me when I have it. It's because you put a whole different kind of perverted, you know, sense of self on casual sex. It's like blaming tequila. Oh, I can't drink tequila. Kills evil. It's like, tequila didn't do shit. You drank too much tequila. It's your own fault. Why tequila is evil. So like, don't blame the thing that's out there. You got to take ownership of how you react to things and how you are in the world. And once you do that, I will 100% tell you, once you take responsibility for you, your life gets so much better. This person actually, your friend actually was able to sit back and see himself in the situation and able to understand that he is creating the chaos in his life would get 100% better. But he's scared. He's scared of making the wrong decision. So he learned along the way that he makes wrong decisions and he shouldn't make decisions. Somebody else should make them for him. So that's why as an adult now, he has to ask 100 people in order, but he still can't make a decision because he doesn't have that
and pretend like he's not asking people for help. You know what I mean? Like that's what also irked me is like he was like, I'm not asking you to fix this. It's like, well, you're the one that keeps talking about your fucking problems to me all the time. And I was like, you how I speak. This is how I speak. I speak analytically. I speak prescriptively. I speak this way. I'm a fucking intellectual. What the hell you want from me? You know how I speak. You come to me expecting something different. That's insane. Right. But I liked what you said earlier when you were like, I'm exactly who I wanted to be. How many people get to say that, Wendy? I don't know a lot of people who say that.
I don't either, because every time I say it to somebody, they're like surprised. They're like, wow, that's great.
It's a shocking thing to hear.
As if
it is. It's a shocking thing to hear.
They're like, oh, I've been trying to do that for a long time. You know, maybe it takes what happened to me, which is destroying your life and blowing it up and going to zero and then building yourself back up. But in that process, this most beautiful thing came out of it, and it's me. It's me. I'm so amazed I've become this person, and I'm so happy I'm this person. And even when shit goes wrong or I make a mistake here or there, it doesn't like completely wipe me out. It means, oh no, you're growing, you're getting better, you're becoming a better person. And my friend said when I was the deepest, most bottom, she goes, there's a guy who wrote a book about aging and how the first half of your life is 0 to 50, and the second half is 50 to whenever. And she goes, you are starting the second half of your life, so you're a baby now. So you are essentially learning how to be the next version of yourself. And babies are happy. And most babies, you know, if you're not in horrible situations, most babies are happy. They see the world with brightness, and everything is discovery, and everything is, you know, like learning and stuff. And that's how I feel like I am. I'm in that baby stage, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I just want to keep going that way. I mean, I would love to meet somebody else that goes, yes, I'm exactly who I want to be too in this life. I've yet to meet somebody like that, but I'm glad that I can say it, I am exactly who I've always wanted to be. And on stage too, because I struggled really hard the first 15 years of being who I wanted to be on stage and seeing other people doing it and not being able to do it. But it took 10 years of me being a writer and an actor to come back to stand up and going, oh, now I'm not. Now I know who I am on stage, and now I'm just getting better and better, and I'm being exactly the authentic person I want on stage. Somebody the other day just goes, I love how honest you are on stage. And they're like, I strive to try to be as honest as you. And I go,
that's nice.
I just talk about my life. That's all it is. And I can't do bullshit. I really can't. I can't lie. 99% of my jokes are not, there's nothing made up in them. It's all based in truth. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. And I think, you know, it's like a lot of the times people who take like mushrooms or LSD, they often have that moment where like they go to the zero place, the baby place, the reborn phase. And I think you were just having that moment in your life without like psychedelics or anything. I mean, sometimes people have that as a spiritual thing too. Like they'll face a deep crisis, hit rock bottom. A lot of people who are in AA also have that moment. They hit rock bottom and whatever, and they become reborn. But like the truth is, you know, anybody can be reborn at any moment, whenever they want. And it's just a matter of deciding. And it's a matter of letting go. It's a matter of confronting the truth, which is that you're gonna die. It's the truth. You're gonna die. What are you gonna do to make this living state the most absolute worthwhile thing? You know?
Yeah.
Once they confront that, they can do what you did, which is build the life that you want, build the self that you want, and learn to love and appreciate the self that you are. Yeah.
Yay! Yay!
Yay! Okay, let me ask you some flashcard questions and we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
Are you okay on time?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so this show I'm going to talk about is called Sound of Your Heart, and this is like a good fit for you because this is a more like a sitcom. It's like a sitcom-y kind of show. Okay, so let's say you're a cartoonist named Cho Seok, and you're in your 20s. You live at home with your parents and your older brother. You bring your cartoon to a major internet media company, and they tell you that your project sucks ass. It's the worst, and that your journal probably has better content than what you just imagined out of your little head. What do you do?
I think I walk away sad, and I think I go to a park and I have a good cry, and then I look up and I see the world around me, and I see nature, and I see people. And I realize I am just one person in a vast globe of people. And I process what they said. And then I go, you know what? There's other people in the world who might understand me better than that person. But the hurt's there. So then I think I walk home, and maybe I get some of my favorite junk food, or an ice cream, or something food-wise. Because that is always the solve when you have a deep hurt, is some kind of favorite food. It's comfort. And then I go home. Yeah. And I personally wouldn't, with my parents, I probably wouldn't have said anything, but they would have seen it on me. Everybody knows when I'm sad, because I'm sort of like always like this. So when I'm sad, my face shows it. I can't hide it. And then they get it out of me, and then we talk through it, and then they hold me. They make me feel better. And then I go to sleep, and then I wake up the next day and go, okay, let me see if anything they said is valid. And if it's not, then I'm going to go and see and find other people. Maybe I go find a group of other cartoonists who like a group, like a writer's group or a cartoonist group.
A support
group. And I go from there. And I just go, hey, this is what this person said. Because in my life, I've been fired a couple times. And every time the very next person that has interviewed me, I have revealed that I've been fired. They knew the person that fired me and go, you must have been doing something right for them to have fired you. So we're going to hire you. So it's like,
that's nice.
Everybody has a thing where they're like, not everybody is liked. Even though you got fired, it means you might be doing something right. if you get fired. So
It's true.
Somebody telling me that my stuff sucks, it means I might be doing something right for other people. So many creative, wonderful things have been rejected hundreds of times before somebody goes, no, this is actually good. And then that becomes a huge, huge thing. Promising Young Woman got turned down by like every production company. Same with Squid Games. Everybody turned it down. And then, and then now they're both huge things by people with different voices than the ones that are established. So
that's true.
So that has happened every time I wrote a script where somebody goes, you can't do that in the script. I went, no, I'm going to keep it. And that's the thing that always has gotten me like to the finals of a writing competition or won a competition or whatever.
Yeah.
The thing, whenever they tell me I can't do something, that's exactly, I do it because I know that they're scared of something different. So
exactly. Okay. I like that. That's a very zen and healthy response to something like this. At least, you know, you said food and you didn't say like crack. I go and get my favorite crack. I smoke it out of a pipe.
Sometimes food is crack. I've eaten a whole bag of Doritos. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Okay. Great answer. Okay. Let's see. So yours, Huck, again. Your parents keep nagging you to wake up and smell the coffee. They don't support your art career, so you snap at them and you storm out. But while you're outside, you realize that today is actually your mom's birthday, and you just screamed at her to go to hell. What do you do?
I feel like this has happened before when my mom was alive. I think I go through a phase where I'm just like, fuck her. I'm not going to get her anything, you know, like she doesn't understand me, all this other stuff. But then I think once I calm down from that, I do go and get, my mom was a big Coca-Cola fan. So I think I would go and get her, you know, some bottled Coke and maybe her favorite pizza, and then come back and go, you may not understand my choices, but happy birthday. And here you go. And go from there.
That's sweet.
And just go, there's not much I can do but other be me. And you may not like that. If that means that I have to leave this house, I will leave this house to go do what I need to do.
That's so brave.
It's funny because I didn't realize this till later. So I was doing a big clean out, and I found a bunch of letters that my mom had written me when I was in LA. And they were cool. They were great. She would write me hand letters, which I loved. But the very first letter she wrote me, I hadn't left LA. I had just decided I was going to move to LA instead of New York City. And I had a month lag time. And during that time, she wrote me a letter. I don't think I ever read it. And I pulled it out, and it was asking me not to go to LA. And it was like a 7-page letter. She was scared for me. She didn't want me to go to LA. And in this time, it was open. And I think probably read the first like 2 lines and then didn't read it. But as soon as I couldn't read it now, I still can't read it. It's in my scrapbook that I have of her.
Sure.
But as soon as I got out to LA, she understood that decision. And even when it got tough, I would call her and say, I know I'm in the right place. Even though it's really hard right now, I know I'm in the right place. She goes, you are in the right place. So it took her seeing how brave I was to make that big step to go after the dreams I'd always said that I wanted to go after, for her to then understand it and then 100% support it. Because I've always said the worst day here of me going after what I want in life is still better than the best day back home and me not doing any of it.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
That is exactly how I've always lived my life, even when it got really fucking hard, and it's gotten really fucking hard many times.
Oh yeah,
it's still worth it for me to not give up and throw in the towel.
Yeah,
and I guess maybe that's because I have 2 coaches for dads, or for mom. And my mom and dad are both coaches. But like, that's part of it. But it's just like I just always knew I wanted to do this, and it's taken me a lot longer than most people, maybe because I'm undereducated or I don't have the connections or I am who I am, but it doesn't matter. I'm still going after what I need to do. What I want to do.
You're still doing what you're
Wendy
doing.
Is supposed to do. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think that's very important. And I think you're also, in a way, very lucky to have a mother who says, I understand now. Now I see the light. Because there's so many people who will never see it, never understand it, even when their child goes after what they want. And I'm like so happy that you and your mother had that moment together, of being like both acknowledging that. Yeah, that's sweet.
I am.
Okay. Yeah, and you're brave for, having just, done it. Because there are a lot of people who lack the courage to separate themselves from their families and really go find the release and the freedom. That's important. It's necessary as an artist to really just become a waif, at a certain point. Okay. So you're Huck again. You're at a wedding and you see a really hot girl that you knew from high school. And she's talking to you, like she's really interested in your life, but you realize she's just trying to sell you life insurance. What do you do?
I indulge the fuck out of her. I keep talking to her. I keep like asking her about it. I get really interested in what she's trying to sell me. I just am like, oh, and then I invite her to sit down and maybe we have the cake together, and I'm like, because it's a fucking wedding. Weddings are boring. I don't like them. Yeah. And so like you just like you indulge her because probably that hot girl was an asshole to you in high school. So for me, most of the time those hot girls are, and then they become like pharmaceutical reps and life insurance people, and they're just kind of you called me fat ass in high school. Guess what? This is my revenge. And then at the end I go, thanks, good to know, I'll give you a call if I need it, and then I walk away because that's what you get. Fucking life does always get you in the end when you're an asshole. When you're an asshole, it always comes back to you. Like I love now, like if somebody's an asshole to me, I say something to them as if I'm a witch and I'm putting a spell on them. I'm like, you will die of COVID. Like, it's like, I like have this other like sense that I know something. I don't know shit. But like, I do that, especially with strangers who are fucking horrible, rude to me. I go, you will die in a car accident. Like that. And I just walk away. Like I get real, like, kind of like, interesting. I walk away. Cause like, fuck you. If you're going to be an asshole, I'm going to make you have to think about something for hours, if not days or years. There you go. And then when they do get in an accident, that woman was right. She put a spell on me, So don't fuck with me. That's all I'm saying.
That's hilarious. It's like, I don't have any psychic powers, but I just pretend to be a witch just to fuck with people.
Yeah.
That's psychotic. I love it. Okay. Last question. Let's say you're a girl named Ebong, okay?
What's her name?
You're kind of seeing Ebong. Her name's Ebong. And you're kind of seeing this guy. You're seeing this guy is Huck, the cartoonist. And you've been seeing each other for a little while now. And you're waiting for him to officially ask you to be his girlfriend. All right? And the two of you are out on a date. You go to a restaurant, you go listening to busker music on the streets, you go to a theater to watch a play. It's like very much a date. And he still has not asked you to be exclusive and make it official. What do you do?
Well, I point blank go, hey, we've been acting like girlfriend and boyfriend. Are we girlfriend and boyfriend? And if he wavers on any... If he wavers at all, I go, okay, that's my answer. It's been nice hanging out with you. It's been great getting to know you, but I'm gonna go hang out and do other things with other people. And then that's when they fucking go, no. And I'm like, too late. Sorry. You had your chance.
Yeah.
Like with my fuck buddies, like, with my fuck buddies, if they say, oh, I want to fuck you again. Okay. I give you 2 chances. And if after that second chance you can't come through, done.
Bye.
I don't have time for your bullshit. Yeah. I don't have time. There's plenty of people who want to fuck
Never
me.
Again.
I do not need yours. Only. Plenty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Very, to the point, no bullshit, efficient. Love that answer. And it's empowering. Yeah. Very nice.
It took me a very long time to get to the point where I can go, I can take or leave anything now. I don't need anything or anybody. So it's a growth thing.
Yeah.
It's taken me a long time. I don't think I would have had the same answer at 25, but at 52,
Oh yeah.
yep.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you, Grace. It's been amazing.